Your stupid kid is ruining my perfect lawn. Margaret screamed at my 5-year-old daughter Lily. 3 days later, I found my little girl frozen in terror, a deadly rattlesnake coiled to strike just 2 feet away. Margaret had no idea she just declared war on the county sheriff. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. Margaret Wilson's angry voice cut through the peaceful morning air. I looked up from my coffee to see my 5-year-old daughter Lily frozen on our front yard, holding her favorite doll close to her chest. Tears were already forming in her big blue eyes. She's just playing with her doll, Mrs. Wilson, I said, stepping outside. She's not even on your grass. Margaret's face turned red with anger. Her finger pointed straight at my little girl. I don't care. That brat needs to learn respect. This whole neighborhood is going downhill because of families like yours. Lily ran to me and hugged my legs tight. I could feel her little body shaking with fear. This crazy woman had yelled at my daughter 3 times this week already. Listen here, Mrs. Wilson. It's HOA President Wilson, she screamed back. And let me tell you something right now. If you don't control that little monster, I'll make your life hell. I have ways of dealing with problem families like yours. The threat hung in the air like a dark storm cloud. Margaret's cold eyes stared at Lily with pure hate. What kind of evil person threatens a 5-year-old child? Are you actually threatening my daughter? I stepped forward, feeling my anger rise. Margaret smiled a cruel, twisted smile. I'm warning you. Keep that little pest away from decent people or you'll be sorry. Very sorry. She turned around and walked back to her perfect house, leaving Lily and me standing there shocked. My daughter looked up at me with her innocent eyes. Daddy, why does the mean lady hate me? I was just playing with my doll. My heart broke into pieces. How do you explain pure evil to a little child? What I didn't know was that Margaret Wilson had already started planning something much worse than just yelling. That same morning she made phone calls that would change our lives forever. The first call was to a snake dealer in Texas. I need something poisonous, she said in a calm voice. Something that looks natural but deadly. Money doesn't matter. The second call was to a private detective. I want to know everything about the Mitchell family. When they eat, when they sleep, where the kid plays. Everything. The third call was to her lawyer. If a wild snake bit someone on their own property, would I be responsible? Margaret Wilson wasn't just a mean neighbor. She was a psychopath hiding behind a nice suburban mask. For the next 3 days, Margaret began her attack on our family. She started small but got worse each day. Day 1, she filed 20 fake complaints against us. She said our grass was too long. She said our mailbox was in the wrong place. She said Lily's chalk drawings on our own driveway were ugly decorations. Each complaint came with a $200 fine. Day 2, she had our water turned off. She told the water company we were stealing water. It took me 8 hours and many phone calls to get our water back on. Day 3, she tried to poison our dog. I found Max, our golden retriever, sick and shaking on our back porch at 6 in the morning. Lily was still sleeping, thank God. The animal doctor said someone had given Max antifreeze poison on purpose. Max lived but just barely. Daddy, will Max be okay? Lily asked when I came home from the animal hospital. Her little voice was so sad it broke my heart. He'll be fine, sweetie. But I need you to promise me something. Don't go outside alone for a while, okay? She nodded, not understanding the danger but trusting her daddy. That trust almost got her killed. While I was saving Max's life at the animal hospital, Margaret was setting up her deadly trap. The snake dealer had sent her package, a 4-foot timber rattlesnake in a special box. Perfect, she whispered, looking at the dangerous snake through the glass. This will solve my problem. She had been watching Lily for weeks. Every morning at 7:30, my daughter would skip to her favorite reading spot under the big oak tree in our backyard. She would sit there for 20 minutes, reading picture books or talking to her stuffed animals. Margaret had watched from her upstairs window, timing Lily's every move like a military operation. She knew exactly where my daughter went, where she sat, and that I would be in my home office and wouldn't hear anything until it was too late. What Margaret didn't know was that the unemployed single dad she was targeting was actually Sheriff James Mitchell. I commanded the county's most dangerous SWAT team. She thought I was just another weak father she could scare. She was about to learn how wrong she was. Thursday morning came gray and dark, like the sky knew something evil was about to happen. I was in my office at 6:45 a.m., looking at police reports, when I heard Lily's bedroom door open. "Good morning, Daddy," she called out happily. "I'm going to read to Dolly under our tree." "Stay where I can see you, sweetheart," I called back, not looking up from my papers. That was the mistake that almost cost me everything. Margaret had moved at 6:30 a.m., using the morning shadows to sneak into our backyard with her deadly snake. She picked the spot carefully, right next to Lily's favorite reading rock, hidden by leaves but ready to strike. The timber rattlesnake was already angry from its long trip and rough handling. When Margaret let it out of the box, it immediately coiled up in attack position, its rattle making that terrifying death sound. At 7:28 a.m., Lily skipped down our back steps, humming a happy song. She carried Dolly in one arm and a princess book in the other. Her pink pajamas were wrinkled from sleep, her blonde hair falling in soft curls around her face. She looked like an angel walking into hell. At 7:31 a.m. Lily's scream of terror shattered the quiet morning. I've been a police officer for 15 years. I've seen murder scenes, drug busts, and violence that would give grown men nightmares. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what I saw when I ran out our back door. My 5-year-old daughter stood frozen just 2 feet from a huge rattlesnake. The snake was coiled up and ready to strike. It was massive, 4 feet long and thick as my arm. Its rattle filled the air with that horrible sound of death. Lily's face was white with terror. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She held Dolly so tight her little knuckles were white. The snake's black eyes were locked on her, reading her fear, getting ready to attack. "Daddy," she whispered, so quiet I could barely hear her. "Help me." Time seemed to stop. My police training kicked in. Move slowly. No quick movements. Get the predator to focus on you, not the victim. "Lily, baby, listen to Daddy very carefully," I said, keeping my voice calm even though panic was screaming in my head. "Don't move. Don't look at the snake. Just look at me." I started moving in a wide circle, trying to get between Lily and the rattlesnake. The snake's head followed my movement, its rattle getting louder. "Good. Look at me, you monster." "That's right, look at me," I said softly, taking off my shirt to wave as a distraction. "Come on, focus on me." The snake's head turned toward me, and in that split second, I dove forward and grabbed Lily, rolling us both away just as the rattlesnake struck. But I was half a second too late. The snake's fangs caught Lily's left ankle as I pulled her away. She screamed in pain and terror as the venom pumped into her tiny body. "Daddy, it hurts. It hurts so bad." I held my daughter tight as she cried, her little body already starting to shake from the poison. 2 tiny puncture wounds on her ankle were already turning red and swelling. "It's okay, baby. Daddy's here. You're going to be okay," I said, but inside I was dying. My little girl had been bitten by one of the most dangerous snakes in America. I scooped Lily up and ran for my car, calling 911 with my free hand. "911, what's your emergency?" "This is Sheriff Mitchell. My 5-year-old daughter has been bitten by a timber rattlesnake. We need paramedics and airlift to Children's Hospital now." "Sheriff, paramedics are on the way. Keep the child calm and still." Lily was getting weaker in my arms. Her face was pale and her breathing was getting shallow. The venom was spreading through her tiny body like liquid death. "Daddy, I'm sleepy," she whispered. "No, baby, stay awake for Daddy. Talk to me. Tell me about your doll." "Dolly is scared too," she said, her voice getting weaker. "Can you tell her it's okay?" Tears ran down my face as I held my dying daughter. "Dolly's going to be fine, sweetheart. You're both going to be fine." But I wasn't sure if that was true. The paramedics arrived in 4 minutes, the longest 4 minutes of my life. They immediately started working on Lily, putting in N4 and giving her medicine to fight the venom. "How long ago was the bite?" the lead paramedic asked. 8 minutes, I said, watching them work on my little girl. "We need to get her to the hospital now. The helicopter is landing in the street." They loaded Lily onto a stretcher. She looked so small and helpless with all the medical equipment around her. Her eyes found mine as they wheeled her out. "Daddy, are you coming with me?" "I'll be right behind you, baby. I promise." As the helicopter lifted off with my daughter inside, I felt a rage unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Someone had deliberately tried to murder my child. And I was going to find out who. While Lily fought for her life in the hospital, I began the most important investigation of my career. Within an hour, my backyard was full of police officers, crime scene experts, and animal control. "Sheriff, this definitely wasn't natural," Detective Maria Santos told me, showing me photos of the scene. "Look at these marks in the dirt. Someone carried a container here and let the snake out on purpose." I studied the photos with professional focus, even though my hands were shaking with anger. "When?" "Based on the snake's behavior and where it was positioned, I'd say between 6:30 and 6:45 this morning. Whoever did this knew exactly when Lily would come outside." The truth hit me like a truck. Someone had been watching my daughter, learning her daily routine, planning this attack like a military operation. Get all security camera footage from every house on this street, I ordered. Check who's bought exotic snakes in the last month within 500 miles. And I want to know everyone who's had access to information about my family. Detective Santos nodded. Already working on it, Sheriff. But sir, this was personal. Someone wanted to hurt you by killing Lily. I looked across the street at Margaret Wilson's house. She was standing at her front window, watching all the police activity with a satisfied smile on her face. That's when I knew who had tried to murder my daughter. The investigation moved fast. By noon we had our first break. Security cameras from 3 different houses had recorded Margaret Wilson's movements that morning. 6:25 a.m. Margaret leaves her house carrying a wooden box. 6:33 a.m. She enters our backyard through a gap in the fence. 6:46 a.m. She leaves our property without the box. 6:48 a.m. She returns to her house and goes straight to her upstairs window to watch. We've got her, Detective Santos said, showing me the video footage. But there's more. The money trail revealed everything. Credit card records showed Margaret had bought the timber rattlesnake from Texas Exotic Reptiles for $1,500. Her internet search history was even more damning. How fast does rattlesnake venom kill small children? Timber rattlesnake bite survival rate kids under 6. Pennsylvania native snake species. Legal responsibility exotic animal attacks. How to make snake bite look like accident. But the most evil discovery came from her phone records. Margaret had been paying a private detective for 3 weeks to watch and document Lily's daily routine. She planned this for almost a month, Detective Santos said, her voice tight with anger. This woman studied your daughter like a hunter studies prey. While my team built the case against Margaret Wilson, I spent every minute at Lily's bedside. She was in the pediatric intensive care unit, fighting the most dangerous battle of her young life. The doctors had given her anti-venom medicine to fight the snake poison, but her little body was struggling. Her ankle was swollen to twice its normal size. Her temperature kept spiking. Sometimes she would wake up crying in pain. Daddy, when can I go home? She asked on the second day, her voice weak and tired. Soon, baby. You just need to get stronger first. Will the mean lady be there when we go home? I took her small hand in mine. No, sweetheart. The mean lady is never going to bother us again. Good, she whispered. She's really scary. On the 3rd day, Lily started getting better. The swelling went down. Her fever broke. The doctors said the anti-venom was working and she was going to be okay. I cried tears of relief. My little girl was going to live. While Lily recovered, we discovered the full extent of Margaret Wilson's crimes. This wasn't her first time targeting children. In her previous neighborhood in Florida, 4 families with young kids had suffered mysterious accidents. A treehouse collapsed, breaking a 7-year-old boy's arm. A swimming pool was contaminated with chemicals, burning twin girls. A playground swing set was sabotaged, causing serious injuries. In every case, Margaret had filed HOA complaints against the families just days before the accidents. In every case, the families eventually moved away, selling their homes for much less than they were worth. She's a serial child predator hiding behind respectability, Dr. Jennifer Walsh, our police psychologist, explained. She targets families she sees as threats to her control. She escalates from harassment to physical violence. Your daughter was supposed to die, Sheriff. This was attempted murder disguised as a tragic accident. Learning this filled me with cold, focused rage. This monster had been systematically hurting children for years, and Lily was meant to be her latest victim. For 3 days, I watched Margaret through surveillance while building our case. She went about her normal routine as if nothing had happened, watering her flowers, getting her mail, even waving at our house when she thought no one was looking. The woman was completely insane. Sheriff, we have enough evidence to arrest her 10 times over, Detective Santos told me. When do you want to move? Saturday morning, I said. I want this to be memorable. Saturday morning at 5:45 a.m., 12 black SWAT vehicles rolled silently into Maple Creek Estates. The tactical team I commanded had assembled for the most personal arrest of my career. Margaret Wilson was drinking her morning coffee when the sound of engines filled her perfect suburban street. Through her kitchen window, she watched in growing terror as police vehicles surrounded her house like metal wolves. This is Sheriff Mitchell of the County SWAT Division, I announced through the loudspeaker, watching Margaret's face turn white with fear. Margaret Wilson, you are under arrest for attempted murder of a minor, possession of illegal wildlife, stalking, harassment, and terrorism. The coffee cup fell from Margaret's shaking hands, breaking on her expensive floor. Through the window, I could see the exact moment she realized that the loser single dad she'd been tormenting was actually the most powerful police officer in the county. "You have 30 seconds to come outside with your hands up," I continued. "Any attempt to run or fight back will be met with immediate force." Margaret appeared at her front door, her face showing pure panic and disbelief. She was still wearing her silk robe and diamond jewelry, as if money and status could save her from justice. "There's been a mistake," she said as Officer Rodriguez put handcuffs on her. "I'm the HOA president. I'm a respected community leader." "You're a child predator," I said, taking off my tactical helmet so she could see my face clearly. "And you just made the biggest mistake of your worthless life." The arrest was quick and humiliating. Neighbors who had lived in fear of Margaret's HOA tyranny for years watched as she was dragged away in handcuffs, crying and begging for mercy, the same mercy she had refused to show my 5-year-old daughter. The media coverage that followed exposed Margaret's reign of terror to the whole county. Families came forward with stories of her harassment, her illegal fines, her systematic destruction of their lives. The HOA was disbanded when investigators found Margaret had been stealing thousands of dollars in fees. During the trial, Margaret's lawyer tried to make her look like a victim, a woman driven crazy by neighborhood disputes. The jury didn't believe it for a second. When they showed the security video of Margaret deliberately placing a deadly snake where she knew a 5-year-old child would find it, several jurors gasped in shock. When they played the recorded phone call where she asked about mortality rates of snake bites in small children, some jurors actually cried. The verdict came back in 38 minutes, guilty on all counts. Margaret Wilson was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison without possibility of parole. Her perfect house was seized and sold, with the money going to victims of her previous crimes and a fund for child safety programs. 6 months later, Lily is completely recovered and playing happily in our backyard again. The only sign of her ordeal is a small scar on her ankle where the snake bit her. She started a lemonade stand to raise money for snake conservation because, as she told me with the amazing wisdom that only children have, "Daddy, even mean snakes should live in their real homes, not be used by bad people to hurt kids." Her strength amazes me every day. While I sometimes have nightmares about almost losing her, Lily has bounced back with the incredible toughness of childhood. She still reads under the oak tree, though now Max sits guard beside her. "Will the mean lady ever come back?" she asked me last week. "No, sweetheart. She's going to be in jail for a very, very long time." Lily nodded seriously. "Good. People who hurt kids should be punished." The neighborhood is peaceful now. Children play freely in their yards. Families talk to each other over fences. The atmosphere of fear that Margaret created has been replaced by real community spirit. The new HOA president is Mrs. Chen, a retired teacher whose biggest worry is organizing block parties and maintaining the community garden. She's everything Margaret pretended to be: kind, fair, and genuinely interested in making the neighborhood better for families. "You know," Mrs. Chen said to me at last month's barbecue, "it's amazing how one evil person can poison an entire community, and how removing that poison can heal everything so quickly." She was absolutely right. Margaret Wilson had been a cancer on our neighborhood, spreading fear and hate wherever she went. Now that she's gone, the healing has been remarkable. This experience taught me that evil doesn't always look obvious. Sometimes it lives next door, waters its roses every morning, and serves on community boards. Sometimes it wears expensive clothes and speaks in polite tones. But evil always shows itself eventually. Margaret's hatred of children, her need to control everyone, her complete lack of human feelings, these things couldn't stay hidden forever. She got worse because that's what predators do. They keep pushing until someone pushes back. The difference was that when Margaret finally pushed too far, she discovered she'd been attacking someone with the power to push back much harder than she ever imagined. Today Lily is thriving. She's confident, happy, and shows no lasting fear from Margaret's attack. She's even made friends with the new family that moved into Margaret's old house, the Johnsons, who have twin daughters Lily's age. "Daddy, can I show the new girls our forest?" she asked last weekend. "Of course, sweetheart. But remember the safety rules. Always stay where you can see me, never talk to strangers, and if I see any snakes, call for help right away," she said perfectly. That's my smart girl. As I watched Lily skip toward her new friends, I felt deep gratitude. Justice had been served. The predator was caged. My daughter was safe and happy. Sometimes the predator doesn't realize they're hunting someone who can hunt back. Margaret Wilson learned this lesson too late, but her 30-year prison sentence ensures she'll never threaten another child again. Justice isn't just about punishment, it's about making sure innocent children can play safely, sleep peacefully, and grow up without fear. It's about proving that good people will always stand up to evil, no matter what mask it wears. And sometimes, justice comes with a SWAT team and tactical gear. Margaret Wilson thought she was terrorizing a helpless single father and his daughter. Instead, she declared war on the sheriff. She lost everything.